What's up, everyone? I have not been around much lately. A lot of you have probably noticed that. If you follow me on Discord, you probably know a little bit of the why. Although I haven't really been doing a great job posting updates there lately either. So I figured I'd just make this this video compilation here just to kind of provide an update as to what I've been up to and kind of what's been going on in my life lately. Just kind of getting a little real with you guys. So I guess I'll just kind of get into it here. So what you're seeing here, I've been on a little bit of a shiny kick this year. Just kind of found this neat program that somebody made, somebody by the name of PapaJefe, who has looked into a lot of RNG manipulation for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. And he put together this neat little program called the Player Blink program, which makes it very easy to essentially hit whatever RNG frame you want in BDSP, so you can easily go for shinies, perfect IVs, good competitive natures, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm not really going to go super in-depth with this. This is just kind of the backdrop for the serious stuff that I'm going to talk about here in a second. But if you want more information, I will post the links to the program and to PapaJefe's YouTube channel. He does a much better job explaining this stuff than I could. I mean, he's the one that was working on it, so... And he's got tutorials for not just the shiny legendaries, but he also... You know, you can manip almost anything you want in these games, aside from, like, the underground encounters. But yeah, you can do shiny eggs, you can do shiny gift Pokemon, shiny starters, fossils. It's actually pretty versatile. Like, and the setup is a little tedious, but once you get it going, it's pretty great. Essentially what's happening, just to kind of give a very rough explanation, like when you see it zoomed in like this here, the program is set up to be able to monitor the player's blinks, and that's how it finds your RNG seed. You just kind of have to let it blink. You have to let your player blink like 40 times, which takes a few minutes, admittedly, but after that's all done, the program basically spits out the value of your RNG seed. You plug that into a separate program. In this case, you use something called PokeFinder, which I guess I'll also link in the description. I think it's all part of the same package, actually. PapaJefe kind of did a great job bundling everything together. And, you know, it's just like your standard RNG manip stuff, like you've probably seen in my Coliseum runs. It's the same basic principle. You just find your seed, plug it into a program so you can see the frames that are ahead of you, so you can aim for a target. In this case, I just aimed for the closest shiny most of the time. You do a few in-game actions, which mostly involves scrolling the Pokédex and stuff like that, which advances your RNG much quicker. And then once you're close to your target frame, it's just a few timed A presses. And the A presses are not actually frame perfect or anything. They're a little bit finicky, because the room with the legendary is kind of wonky with the RNG a little bit. It's like most of the time you're standing just outside the place that has the legendary, and you'll only spend a few seconds in the room with the legendary. But yeah, it's just a couple of timed A presses, and you don't even have to use an external timer for them. You're kind of just watching the frame number tick up at about 1 or 2 per second. So it's a pretty comfortable window to hit. So I'd highly recommend, if you want to dust off your copy of Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl and give some of this a try for yourself, I would recommend it. It's pretty fun. So what has been happening in my life lately? So this recent shiny kick that I've been on didn't just kind of happen. You know, I didn't just decide, oh, I'm going to quit speedrunning and I'm just going to do casual offline shiny hunts. No. Unfortunately, something happened. Something medical. Something, pretty serious, although not deadly serious. It's not lethal. It's not like cancer or anything. Thank God. But yeah, it's this thing that kind of came out of nowhere. So, you know, things that come out of nowhere, they can be deadly sometimes. Thankfully, this was not. It's basically this neurological issue with my neck muscles. The name for it is Cervical Dystonia. So cervical meaning, you know, having to do with the neck. And dystonia is essentially just any sort of muscle abnormality. So the thing that's happening is my brain, my special brain, is sending these constant signals to certain muscles in my neck. You know, normally that's only supposed to happen when I consciously want to turn my head. Instead, it's happening constantly. And it's causing my head to pull to the right, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it's quite painful if I let that go on too long. There are ways to stop that from happening. And thankfully there are treatments for it. And it is currently being treated. And it is slowly getting better. I will emphasize that it is getting better. It should not get worse. However, there is no cure, sadly, for cervical dystonia. And with most cases of it, it is lifelong. So it's something that I'll have to be kind of, you know, dealing with forever. But yeah, so it has kind of upended my life, you know, every aspect of it, and that includes my gaming and streaming to a certain degree. Basically, it's mild discomfort at this point. It was significantly worse. I guess I'll get into that, you know, just the timeline of events shortly. But yeah, the thing that makes this really annoying is, you know, when it's pulling to the right, it's obviously very difficult to turn my head to the left. Like, it's hard to make it go to the opposite direction of what it wants to do. Like, walking around is annoying. Driving is annoying. Just having to sit upright in a chair for hours at a time is hell. Like, it becomes hell. Just, you know, my neck gets sore and sore over time, and I just have to go lay down for a bit. It is a fairly rare condition. I see conflicting numbers, you know, it's just rare, you know, not a lot is known and has been heavily researched about this cervical dystonia. Luckily, there is a treatment for it, like I said. The main thing is they don't know what caused it. Like, luckily it's treatable. They're not really treating the root cause of it being the brain signals. You know, there's no way to stop those short of, like, you know, full-on brain surgery, which is risky and something that I really don't want to do right now. So instead, what the treatment is doing is it's like paralyzing the muscles. They're basically giving me shots, you know, trigger warning if you're, you know, not crazy about hypodermic needles and that kind of thing. But yeah, every 11 weeks or so, I am going into my neurologist's office and getting a few bee stings in the old neck muscles there. 5 different neck muscles, 5 different shots. And a few days later, you know, the shots kick in and everything gets mildly better, you know, less painful, less pulling of the head. I'm able to function a bit more. And I just started the 3rd round of shots. I'm honestly a little disappointed at how slowly they're working now. I noticed a significant difference with the last round, and with this round it just kind of feels like I've plateaued a bit. Like the recovery process has kind of just come to a standstill. So I've been kind of looking into some other treatments, like, to complement this round of injections. I was going to start doing, like, acupuncture and stuff. I was going to go in for that first acupuncture next week. Basically, I'm just getting jabbed, you know, everywhere. But yeah, that's been my life for a while now. This started last year, around September. I guess I might as well go into the, like, the timeline of events now. Just to kind of, yeah, just give a little bit more context here. So yeah, like I said, no idea what caused it. It kind of just came out of the blue one day. I was actually taking a trip with my dad, and every time that I would be driving, I would kind of notice this little, just kind of an overactivity in my head a little bit. Like, it was just kind of moving around on its own, kind of. And I would really only notice it when I was in that specific driving kind of seated position with both hands busy in front of me, you know, on the wheel. I didn't really think too much of it at first, you know, it really wasn't much of anything at first. Just kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know, what's going on here? And then I started to notice it during some of my Twitch streams. I noticed it when I got my Kahlo PB around that time, like late September, early October, whenever it was. And I could actually see my head on the video playback on my webcam, you know, moving around a little too much. You know, I could tell I wasn't consciously trying to do that. Like, that was just, you know, that was kind of the last straw. That's kind of when I started to turn off my webcam permanently. Like, I just didn't do that on my streams anymore. So if you're wondering why that channel points thing went away, yeah, that's why. Let's see, what happened after that? Yeah, so the head moving kind of turned into this tremor sort of thing, where it was just kind of shaking, you know, a little bit to the right. And, you know, at the start, I was just trying to hide it from everybody. Like, I didn't want to, be all shaky and jittery when I was just trying to talk to someone at work. Social outings around the family, things like that. I had a physical, like an annual physical, around that time, and I brought it up to my, my primary doctor, and, it was obvious he didn't really know what was going on. He was trying to call it like a tic, like a nervous tic or something, just completely leading me down the wrong path. I kind of had to take it upon myself to do my own research. And luckily, this one symptom kind of clued me into what it was. This weird thing that would happen on some of my daily walks, where, my head would be pulling and shaking and jittering, but I found a way to make it temporarily stop by just taking my hand and just touching it against the side of my head. Like either on my nose or my cheek or just anywhere on my head. And then my neck was completely fine, as long as I held that position. It was the weirdest, kind of cool thing. It's like, oh, maybe this is a solution. Maybe when I'm in public or around other people, just keep a finger or two on my head somewhere, touch my temple, try to do it in a nonchalant kind of way. But because of that, I was able to, do some internet research and find out that that was called a sensory trick, which is, it was like this textbook symptom of cervical dystonia, which I realized was a neurological problem, so I was able to get in touch with a neurologist, and God, that was one of the most frustrating parts of this whole thing. Getting that first neurology appointment, because they were so backed up, it took me 2 months just to get into the neurologist's office. Just for the initial, get to know you, first talk, discussing symptoms, etc. Luckily, at that first appointment, I was fucking ready, I came with all the internet research I had done. I told him about all my symptoms. By that point, oh man, in that couple months, my condition got to the point where it was starting to hurt. One of the main reasons I was hesitant that it was cervical dystonia was, well, this sounds, a lot of people that have had this describe all the pain, like torturous pain. And, up to that point, it wasn't really all that painful for me. It was just, kind of a tremor, and then it made it a little hard to drive. I had to kind of take quick glances to the left, strain myself to look left every time I made a turn. But that kind of changed after the holidays. It got really painful after the holidays. I was in agony. It's kind of like every time I got up off the couch or the bed and I let gravity take over, I kind of had to, hold my head with one hand just to kind of give it some relief as I, stumbled my way to, the bathroom or making food for myself, just keeping myself alive, It wasn't really much of a life. It was getting pretty dire. And even in the weeks after the first neurology appointment, because it took a while just to schedule the first treatment, too. My first treatment was gonna be, 6 weeks wait, and luckily I was able to push it a few weeks ahead. There was some cancellation that happened, and I was able to slide in. I was desperately calling the neurologist's office, every other day to try to get an update. Can I move this appointment up, please? And yeah, that was February when I started the treatment, so... Yeah, thankfully, that first round of treatment did some good work. I remember thinking that, you know, that first round of shots wasn't actually doing much. Like, it had stopped the severe pain, but really wasn't having much effect on the neck orientation. And, you know, by this time, obviously my family knew, coworkers knew. I had to get a special workplace accommodation. I work out of an office, you know, it's a desk job. I had to bring in my own reclining deck chair from my house, and I sit in that now at the office, just to kind of give my neck some support. I had to raise up my keyboard a little bit, just so I don't have to look down as much, because that was really stressful. And, you know, even on the treatment, that first round, the pain still kind of got bad enough that I could basically only be at the work site for half the day. Luckily, I was authorized to work remotely, just like during COVID. So I could at least, you know, be here at the house and just take breaks to lay down every few minutes and just, you know, if I hear an email come in, I'll get up, you know, I'll suffer and type out a response and do whatever I needed to do, and then just crash in bed again. So it was still not much of a life, but we got through it. I think probably the worst part of this so far, though, was when that first round started to wear off. Because, you know, it's kind of like it's on a life cycle of about 3 months. And they try to schedule the doses for when the previous one is wearing off. Well, they didn't do a good job with this first one. Yeah, the first one wore off like 3 or 4 weeks earlier than it was supposed to. So the full force of my condition, the full force of the cervical dystonia just kind of hit me. And yeah, this condition with nothing it's hell. Like, I am definitely at the mercy of this treatment now for the foreseeable future. Like, I cannot have much of a life without it, so I'm very grateful that I was at least able to determine what this was and get it into the diagnosis stage, the treatment stage. Like, at least that went through without any, like, misdiagnosis, any major delays, other than getting the first appointment. But yeah, when the second round wore off, just like a month ago, you know, that wear off wasn't nearly as bad. Because they're actually kind of titrating my dosage. Like, they're figuring out how much to give me. They don't want to overdo it, because apparently there's a risk of, you know, getting like floppy head syndrome. You don't want to relax the muscles too much that they don't want to work at all. Like, I can consciously control my head movements with the optimal amount of treatment. There's still a significant head pull, but like I said, you know, with different alternative methods like acupuncture, and they're probably going to add another muscle to the shots next time too, it should still continue to get better. I mean, I'm at a point now where I can function. I can have, you know, most of my normal life. I've been to social gatherings this past few weeks and been fine for the most part. It's just the neck gets strained and tired over time, so I have to make sure that I don't overdo it. difficult balancing act sometimes. But yeah, that's where I am. I still can't comfortably lay on my back. You know, just looking up at the ceiling. My head still wants to kind of roll to the side when I try to do that. So laying on my left side is kind of like my most comfortable position right now. Obviously that means streaming is kind of hard. I can still do it. I'll still try to do it soon. Well, it's not going to be speedrunning content, largely, but probably just more of the casual stuff that I've been doing for the last several months. I guess I did start to speedrun Stadium Gym Leader Castle a little bit. I might still do that, because it's pretty short. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of have to play it by ear, mostly. You'll still see me around, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. It's just, yeah, this last few weeks was when the previous round of shots were wearing off, so I kind of had to take it a little easy. And honestly, June has always been kind of a busy month just for family stuff, start of summer stuff. And now that most of that's out of the way, you know, there's more time to do the gaming stuff. And hopefully live my life a bit more, you know, get to some of those other goals that I've been trying to get to. Job goals, relationship goals, all that fun stuff. That fun IRL stuff. So yeah, on the whole, cervical dystonia sucks. I have learned a lot this past several months. You know, mostly with the healthcare system and having to be fully in the thick of it now. Dealing with insurance companies, dealing with regular appointments and bills and deductibles and all this crap. Very, very fun stuff. I have had a great support network, though. My friends, my parents, my siblings, they've all been checking up on me. When I was at my worst, they would give me care packages, they would drive me places. Honestly, I am just so lucky to have them. And, you know, I want to thank all of you, too, for, you know... I definitely expected there to be some, like, you know, snarky people among you that are like, why are you suddenly not on Twitch anymore? Like, what happened? When are you gonna do the speedruns again, man? This casual shit is lame, and... You know, I have to say, I had not gotten a single comment like that. I greatly appreciate you guys. for, you know, bearing with me during these difficult, stressful times. And, you know, I have to believe that after a few more rounds of the treatments, I can be back to normal enough to get back to some amazing speedrun projects that I have had to put on hold for a while now. I guess one other thing I've kind of learned through this is, you know, just as far as the mentality goes, I used to beat myself up over just, like, really small, stupid mistakes. You know, I would just waste all these healthy days feeling sorry for myself, you know, feeling like I wasted time. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Well, basically, the temptation is there now to really beat myself up over wasting my healthier years. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The temptation is there to fall into those old habits, you know, those negative mind spaces. And I think now, finally dealing with serious shit has given me a lot of perspective. So that now I'm not really doing that as much. I'm really just kind of focusing more on getting through the day and trying to make time for fun stuff outside of video games and trying to just go places. Anyway, I think I've kind of rambled on enough. So this was a setback, but I'll be back soon. I just kind of felt like I had to, you know, provide a kind of journal entry status update for everybody. I love this track, by the way. Yeah, I killed the Arceus a couple times. See, now I guess I'm back into commentary mode. Yeah, the Arceus was actually the first RNG manip that I did with this program. It was kind of before I had assembled all my good battle mons for catching these guys. For whatever reason, they decided to give Arceus not a lot of PP on its moves. So yeah, it kind of died a few times. But, yeah, we eventually get it. Spoiler alert. Sorry. Of course we got it, I mean... But yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this program a lot for shiny eggs in the near future. I might have mentioned that already, but... So yeah, look forward to that. That'll be something I might be able to share with chat, too, if people are interested. So yeah. I think I'll just go ahead and leave it off there. Anyway, thank y'all for watching and listening. I'll see you around.